Hi, welcome to part 3 of the headphone tutorial series. And we did the texturing and we did the setup scene and how to model all these, environments in the back. So if you're interested, you can check out part 1 and the part 2 as well. I go over that stuff. But today we're going to be doing some animating, going to make duplicates of the scene and have the different shots. And so what I did right now is I duplicated the headphones. You just click Alt D and you'll just make a copy. And what I did was I got some images. You can learn how to texture them as I showed before, but you can just grab some images. You can go ahead and just duplicate them and just use the image textures, and then you can just make headphones with these uh, textures, or you can choose other ones. But right now we're just gonna do some animating really quick. And animating is definitely a hard one to do in any instance, but I'm going to do some simple animation for the scene, so it'll be really easy to understand. So right now this has no animation. Nothing is animated in the scene. So you always want to go to frame 0. I always go to frame 0 usually. And right now, let's say, so if you go to click on here, click view, make sure this is clicked on use timecode. And typically product shots are about around 2.5 seconds. So I would say up to here. And we're going to eventually have the headphones. It's going to cut to each scene and it'll be a different headphone floating. So it'll be different colors, different lighting, but it'll be different headphone in the place. But they'll also have the same keyframes. So it'll smoothly transition to another. So what I want is this will be the middle part of the headphone. So if you press I, it will create a keyframe, and so that will determine like the direction, the location, where the animation will have the object at. And then if we go to 0, all you gotta do is move the object down. We can rotate it. You can also see here how the camera will view the scene. So I want to I'm just rotating on the X and Y axis. So you can see it's doing that. And then the end frame will be around, let's adjust the frames. Let's say we have it around here. And so now we can just maybe rotate it like that. And let's go to material mode so we can see the textures. And then we press space. And this is the animation node. So you can click on timeline. And that's where the node will be. And so we click on here. Nice. Now we have a cool animation. And this is where it stops. And if you select all of it, if you press right click, there's interpolation mode. So this kind of like affects the whole like animation phase. So linear means which means it's going in a line, just linear. So it's not changing. If you go to Bezier, it's kind of like this. So it's kind of doing like a smooth in, smooth out. So if I clicked all of them, I did Bezier. Let's see. That's good and all. But for this one, I think linear is probably the best one because we don't want like a slow down in the beginning. We wanted to just go linear like that. And that's pretty much what the first animation for the scene will be. I also have a free product lighting setup in my Gumroad if you guys want to download that. I know this video by itself won't be enough to learn and remember the stuff. And let's just get on to the video. When you animate an object, you want to have a keyframe. And so I'm just going to do a random keyframing for this guy. And what I want to do is copy this one right here. You press G to move the keyframes. So these are the keyframes. And you click on that one. Click on, let's see, not place. I'm copying it. So now I'm copying it like that. And it doesn't exactly match up with the scene. Sometimes the object could have been moved, like the original object could have been moved because this is a collection instance of the object. So it's a copy of the original one. So whatever I do to this, it'll be fine. But the original one we have hidden right now, if we move that object, it will move the location of this object. So it kind of affects it. So, if it's all right if you can just kind of adjust it. I'm just clicking GZ. And if you can just get like the exact movements, get it right on top of there. Press I for keyframe. let's delete this one, press X to delete. And now that we have that, it will match it exactly, right? So, and then we can go ahead 2, 4, let's stop at this one. So let's hide the first one and see, just add your own version to it. And then we can, maybe make it move down a little bit. Just move it like that. And that one's good. Make sure it's a linear one. And we can just have this other one right here. Just press I, the keyframe. Just get it going. And click on that one. We're going to copy that keyframe. We're going to copy and paste this one right here. So sometimes they might fit exactly. They might not, but it doesn't hurt to make a little bit of adjustment. But delete that. So now we have that. And since we're at about 3 or 4 seconds, we can stop at around 5. Okay, so about 6 seconds. 6 seconds, that's about like quick, easy shot. So what we're going to do is we're going to hide this one. And so we have the first shot done, so we don't have to worry about this one. And so let's go to here. Make sure you hide the render view. So it won't show in the render because we hid it, but you have to click on these render views right here to make sure they work. But you get the headphones right here. And what I'm going to show you guys is if you go to File, so there's different ways to save the file. So if you click on the first shot, so let's say the first shot, let's just save it. This is our first one we did. This is good to go for the texturing. And next, so save, you save the file like I just did. And you can save the file, you can save as, you can name it like any other save file, a save copy, you just make another copy. And save incremental is basically save copy, but it's just a faster way. So I do save incremental. It'll create a file of the same, it'll create a copy of this in the file. It'll just name it, whatever file I name it to 2. And so now it's its own file. So what we want to do is this one will have no shapes. So let's delete them. No shapes, no lemon. This one will have some apples flying through the scene. So let's go on red. And let's do the same lighting setup so we don't have to change the lighting. And this will have the same gobo as well. So all we gotta do is go to Blender Kit, which I talked about in the previous videos, but it's just an add-on. So just get an apple. This one, it's a free asset to use, get a bunch of free models. So here's the apple. You can just kind of scale in what you want. And what we can do is I'm going to get a cylinder, go to mesh, go to cylinder, increase the scale. Let's go to solid view. And so these edges are not like smooth. So we can go to object, we can go to shade auto smooth. And this will basically just smooth out the edges. Shade auto smooth. And what we want to do is click on a tab to go into edit mode. So this will let us model the scene. So we have the vertices, edges, and face. So this is the face. Faces are called faces, and then you got the edges. They make up the scene, the edge. They make up like the different, no, it's bumpy. It just makes up the shape of it. And then vertices kind of the points that make up of it. So it's like small, medium, big. And what we're gonna do is just add a little a way for the apple to go through. So apples are gonna fly through. So click on the scene, click I. So it basically like inserts the face into itself. So you can just like move your mouse, you can control it. You can press E, which is the extrude, so it can stretch out the object up and down. So I press extrude, and it automatically goes up and down on the scene. Up and down on the object. And now we want to go like that. I think that's good enough. I press G to move objects, and then you can move on the Z and Y and X axis. So I'm I'm moving on Z, and the cylinder will be in the back, so you won't entirely see it, but you'll be able to see like the top of the cylinder. So next, we do want to make these parts like smooth. They're too sharp. So what we can do is go to the modifiers section right here, go on the add modifier, click on generate, click on bevel. So this will add more lines and make it look more smooth. And I like to go to bevel. It's 0.01 by default, but I like doing 0.001. And sometimes it might not be, you could change it to 0.02. So I could maybe adjust it like that. Okay, so, 1, but 0.001 is usually a good one to stay at because it makes it like not too sharp, not too smooth in between, but not every object will be the same. So let's place this in the scene. I touched, the apples connect to empty, so the empty kind of controls where the apple is. So just click on the empty. Forgot about that. Sometimes Blender Kit does that. But right now we're going to animate the apple, but we want to make multiple apples. So click on the apple right here, go to add modifier, click array. So this makes different apples. It's non-destructive, so we're not like individually copying them. It just does a modifier first, and we can easily control it. So let me move this screen down. And if I increase the sign, this is how many counts of apples there are. So Blender just made it better, but you can just like go crazy. But I think like maybe 3 or that amount are fine. And then you can change which direction it's going. So it's moving on the X axis right now. If I click on Y, it won't show. We want to go on the Z axis. So we did that. You can scale the apple down. And then we can see, we can rotate the apple. But one thing we want to do is randomize it. So we want to randomize it this way, so the apples will rotate and look more like natural. And now they look pretty good. And you can just extend it. And then I also want to add another cylinder. Press R to rotate. Press Y, and I do 180, which is it does the full like rotation on it. And now we can add an array to the cylinder. So let's just adjust it. And next, let's add an array like we did with Apple. Let's do 2 because we just need 1. And you can kind of just eye it. Let's do the same thing for that. 2. Negative 4.48. So let's do 4.408. Was that it? 48. Okay, cool. So they're just upside down. That's why it's negative, but pretty much the same. And then we can do the same for the apples. Let's just click on the axis in the apples and just duplicate it by Alt D and move that there. And now we can just change some of the colors, make them look like red. We'll go in the cycle, we'll go into the render view, so we'll just change that there. But let's see here. The textures of apples are fine. And remember, this right here, we'll go from here to here. So let's change the keyframe to where it starts and have the keyframe go to where it ends. So we know where the apples will be animated, how far they'll go. But, we can always animate the apple a little bit right here. See right here, and we can just move them up. Actually, let's get these. Let's move them down because we don't need to see, the whole bottom. So go like that, and then just move it down until the other apple is like that. And as well as I forgot to do one thing is keyframe the rotation. So there's that. And then let's keyframe the apple so it just moves and it doesn't look too stiff. And let's do the same for this. Let's move it all the way like that. Let's just keyframe that apple. And let's kind of change it a bit from the other one. Oh, not that one. Let's move it down. And let's make this 0. Make that 0. And you press that to keyframe it if you don't want to press the I. So they'll move like that. And let's do linear for all of them. So they don't slow down. They just keep going. Oh, it looks like they're still going. So now, nice. So now the apples are going up like that. And you can then see how it looks like in the cycles view. This is like the BOGO from before, so it's the first shot. And we want to make this a red color because we want everything to be red to match the apple. So we go to material. We had glow on that. Just make it red. So it's a little red. And let's see how it looks. Red. Oh, now we gotta add and change the color. So we could adjust color to be more red. Just a bit more in the red side. Red. Just the sides at least need to be more of a red color. Let's see how the lights are. The backs are kind of bluish. You can maybe adjust a little bit. There's the back area. Okay, that's fine. Maybe, oh, a little too bright, a little too bright. You can use the exposure to change the light here. I'm just gonna add another light here. Maybe change the exposure. And now this is like too green. One of the lights is being green. Let me just check here. Green, is that it? Let's see. What is making it green? Is it that one? Okay, that's the one that's doing that. And that's the BOGO. I'm gonna change the BOGO so it looks different from the other one. Let's see. BOGO, let's change it to this one that I got. Okay, it looks a little more different, but you gotta change it because it does look kind of weird. Let's see. Okay, kind of just preference. And let's see how it looks like animated. Okay, so it does look. Let's see, it's animated. Maybe the back could be more strong. Let's see here. And make sure you save. Let's see. How's that look about that? It does help to add different colors, not just red. So we can add a bit more yellow or blue. Maybe change the exposure. But that's pretty much what we got for that. Let's make that. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to change that. I think if like simplicity is good. The first scene we had in the first we had a couple cubes and shapes, but now we just have the apples in the cylinder. And You can also change the textures of the cylinder. Let's just make sure it doesn't show off too much. Maybe you can darken it a little bit. You want to make sure the headphones are the star of the show. Oh, click on that. And I'm just gonna do a render and let's see how it looks. So now we have this quick render. I think it's pretty simple. We're going for simplicity here, so we're not going for any like particles or anything. Oh, click on that. We'll go into the compositor eventually, but this is just so you can see how the render looks. But you can go to color management. You can change the brightness of it. So maybe if you want it to be more bright, and if there's something maybe you didn't like, maybe you can go back and change it. Maybe like this reflection is too high. Let me see what that is. Is that the top one? That's the bin. Okay, so it's the top right here. I think for me, I think it's good enough for what we're trying to get. So we go to render tab. You can see what the render will look like. So slot 1 is the previous one. Slot 2, you can choose different slots and render them so you can compare them to each other. So I'm just gonna render other one really quick. It took about like 14 seconds, so that was pretty quick. So it's done. Let's see how it looks. So okay, the BOGO's, the shape it is definitely good. So I think that's good for like the Apple one. The next scene we'll do will be the banana one. Also have some more Blender tutorials, some simple ones on how to squish an object and how to do some lighting in my scene. So check out after the banana one, and we do all the animation. We have the headphones for animation done. We'll go on and do the rendering, compositing, and then that will be close to the end. So that's it for the second headphone shot. But I'll see you guys on the next shot for the banana, and have a good one, guys.